Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly video. So I'm sitting in front of Chabad House, which is a bit of a construction zone. But I've got a surprise for you at the end of this video, so stay tuned. So this week's parsha is Devarim. Devarim is the final book of the 5 books of Moses. And in Devarim, Moshe Rabbeinu starts out with a rebuke of the Jewish people. It starts out, these are the words, these are the Devarim, the words that Moshe spoke. Bamidbar in the desert, Ba'arava in the plains, and he lists a whole bunch of places, including some that we've never heard of before, like Di Zahav, something about gold. And what's going on about this? He spoke to them at the Jordan River by Jericho, on the opposite side of Jericho. What is he listing all these places? And Rashi says, well, he's listing all these places because these are the places where the Jewish people rebelled and complained to God. And so Moshe is essentially admonishing them. It's interesting. He doesn't admonish them directly when he's referring to the events that took place in these places. Instead, he just mentions the place. So for example, it says opposite the Suf, the reeds. That's the Sea of Reeds, where they complained and they wanted to go back to Egypt. They were afraid of the Egyptians and so on. Or for example, it says in the desert. Well, they were in the desert for almost 40 years. Yes, but desert means where they complained about the conditions of the desert. And Di Zahav, this thing about gold, oh, that's where they committed the sin of the golden calf. Interesting. Moshe doesn't directly admonish them for the sin of the golden calf. He doesn't directly admonish them for complaining about the conditions of the desert. He doesn't directly admonish them for the activities that they did with the Moabite women. Instead, he says Ba'arava, in the plains, and we know that's the plains of Moab. And Rashi explains that Moshe was essentially doing 2 things at once. He was admonishing them, but Moshe loved the Jewish people. He was the leader. And Moshe was also giving them an alibi, an excuse as to what may have led them to do what they did. So by saying the word in the desert, instead of saying, oh, you complained, he was saying, well, it was the desert, there's snakes and scorpions, and there's no water. And by saying about the gold, he was saying, well, you had an abundance of gold. So who could expect otherwise than you might rebel and create a golden calf? And then the Moabite plains of Moab, where the Moabite women, we know they were promiscuous. And we could talk about the founder of the Moabite nation, the daughter of Lot, that had relations with her father as recorded in the beginning of Genesis, towards the beginning of Genesis. In other words, as Moshe admonishes the people, he is melamed zechus, he finds merit as to why they may have done the bad behavior. So we have 2 things going over here. Number 1, he doesn't admonish them directly. He just mentions the place, one word, to remind them of what they did wrong without saying it clearly. And he says it in a way that if you delve into it, you can find some sort of zechus, some sort of merit, some sort of reason that may be an excuse of why they did what they did. I think this is so profound because every book on parenting and every book on teaching basically says the same thing. That when you tell someone off, don't be so direct and forthright. Sometimes you have to couch it in some sort of positive. Maybe they just need a reminder. I remember reading a book on parenting. It says, don't scream at your kid. If you don't know them to put the shoes on the couch, just say, couch. Just remind them. Just tell them very briefly, without getting into a whole long lecture. Now, Moshe did lecture them on other things later in the book of Devarim, and he does a lot of positive encouragement and reinforcement. But when it comes to the opening verses, and he's just very brief, just says a word or 2, just to remind them of the way they're supposed to behave. And that's really what it's about. You know, we're coming up to the day of Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av. The 9th of Av is it's the saddest day in the Jewish calendar. We fast from Monday night all the way through Tuesday evening. we sit on the floor, we read the book of Eicha, the book of Lamentations. We're supposed to mourn the destruction of Jerusalem and many other calamities that befell our people. But the Gemara, the Talmud, tells us in Gittin, he says, what was the cause of the destruction of the temple by the Romans? It was senseless hatred. Hatred for no reason. And the Rebbe always says that if the cause of the destruction was sinas chinam, hatred for no reason, then we should have ahavas chinam, love for no reason. The antidote to the exile, the antidote to the sad times that we live is ahavas chinam, is love for no reason. We have to seek ways to engender love and positive relationships between our fellow Jews so that we can merit redemption. That's really what's going on here. Moshe is teaching us that even when it comes to things that we disagree with, even when it comes to admonishing others, there's a way to do it, there's a time to do it. Moshe waited till a month before he died. Are you doing it in a way of love? Are we doing it in a way that expresses friendship? Or are we just laying it on like a ton of bricks? That's really what's going on here. And today, more than ever, we need in our community, in our people, to find that love, that friendship, even when we disagree, and maybe even more so when we disagree. Maybe they have a reason. Maybe they have something happen in their lives that caused them to feel the way they feel that we don't understand. Even if we can't understand someone else, if it's true, still treat them with respect. Anyway, I got a treat to show you. Let's take a look. Okay, so here is the new entrance. It's got some backfill. Eventually there's going to be stairs going up over here all the way to the first floor. And here is a look into the basement area. This area down here, this is going to be our big rec room and study space on the lower level that's going to connect into the existing building where there'll be bathrooms and other areas over there on the lower level. What you're looking at over there, that big 3,000-pound steel beam is sitting on those two walls, because underneath there is going to be a 20-foot window to allow for a ton of light to come in to the lower level, because remember, we're all about light. We're all about being bright and shining. Let's take a look at some other things that I want to show you. Okay, right now we're around the back. This is the alley, and here's going to be the parking lot. And just showing you the progress that's going on over here. They're rebuilding that corner, that pier that collapsed down there. That's slowly being rebuilt. That was not part of the plan. But over here is part of the plan, and this is the future mikveh of the south side of Chicago. There, the pool has been made, and it's ready for the next step, which is waterproof, and we have to wait 28 days to waterproof it for the concrete to cure. This is the preparation room for the mikveh. And there we are. As you can see, we're going to have a good entrance into the existing building. We'll take one more peek at the existing building. Okay, here we are. Let's go in through the front door. And here we go. Okay. So here we have, let's get some lights on. All right, so this was the bathroom, was right there. That's going to be a pantry. And our kitchen is now double the size. This is the kitchen. As you can see, the framing is up. Quite a large kitchen, much, much larger than it was. And here is going to be the new basement steps. Nice steps all the way open to the ceiling. And this is how you're going to get into the lower level. So this is super exciting. And this is Chip, who is the site manager and doing a great job. And yes, so we're excited. It's moving along at a good pace. Now, we're still looking for someone to put their name on our mikveh. It's a beautiful, beautiful mitzvah. Great opportunity to do something in honor or in memory of a loved one. Anyway, with that, I wish you a good Shabbos.